Imagine standing at the peak of your career, $2 million a year, closing Dior couture shows, Karl Lagerfeld himself fitting gowns on your body. And then one morning, you can't even get out of bed. Not because of a wild party, not because of exhaustion, but because your body is collapsing, shutting down from within, and no one can explain why. This is what happened to Shalom Harlow. To understand why her return at 44 reduced hardened fashion editors to tears, you need to know the story behind her disappearance. This isn't the usual model tale. This is the story of a girl who once wanted to be an astronaut, who stumbled into fashion almost by accident, and then had to fight battles far darker than any runway show could ever reveal. Stick around because by the end, you'll understand why Donatella Versace called Shalom one in a million, and why that might even be an understatement. December 5, 1973, Oshawa, Ontario. A baby girl is born into a world far removed from the fashion elite. Her parents are free-spirited hippies living on a commune outside Toronto. They call her Shalom, meaning peace in Hebrew. Her mother, Sandy, works with adults who have developmental disabilities. Her father, David, drifts between jobs. Their home is filled with creativity, vegetarian food, and more tie-dye than most children will ever see. There are no Vogue magazines lying around, no whispers of runways. Shalom's childhood is grounded in ideals, not glamour. She doesn't dream of spotlights. She dreams of stars, literal ones. As a child, she wanted to be an astronaut. While future models practiced poses in the mirror, Shalom imagined floating through space. Her parents placed her in ballet, but she found it stifling. Too many rules, too much perfection. So she switched to tap dancing. "I loved the noise," she said later. That detail matters, because years later, her ability to break rules, to make her own rhythm, would electrify the fashion world. In that bohemian bubble, she grew up tall, awkward, and unique, dreaming about galaxies while crunching on sprouts, not hamburgers. It was an upbringing that would make her both grounded and restless, both far from fashion and destined to reshape it. Fast forward to 1990. Shalom is 16, nearly 17, standing in the crowd at a Cure concert in Toronto. Robert Smith's voice echoes through the air, gloomy, poetic, haunting. And then fate appears in the form of a modeling scout. "Have you ever thought about modeling?" the stranger asks. Shalom, the girl who wanted to float in space and make noise with her feet, suddenly finds herself considering an entirely different orbit. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was timing. Maybe just a teenager's why not moment. Whatever it was, she said yes. She had no portfolio, no training, no dreams of the runway, and on top of that, her look was all wrong for the time. It was 1990, the age of blonde bombshells like Claudia Schiffer and Cindy Crawford. Shalom, with her dark hair, angular face, and androgynous beauty, looked like she belonged in an art film, not a catalog. But sometimes, being wrong is exactly what makes you right. Within a year, she was working. By 1993, she landed her first magazine cover in Canada. And by 1994, she was walking for Valentino in Paris. From a Cure concert to couture in 4 years. No training, no crash course in posing, just instinct, presence, and that mysterious quality that made designers stop and say, her. By the mid-90s, Shalom Harlow wasn't just walking runways, she was closing them. Gianni Versace himself didn't just dress her, he saw her as a co-creator. When she moved down the runway, she wasn't just wearing the clothes, she was interpreting them. The tap dancer who loved to make noise had found her ultimate stage. In 1995, she won the very first VH1 Vogue Model of the Year award, beating out every other name in fashion. A year later, she and fellow anti-supermodel Amber Valletta became inseparable. Together, they created something that felt almost rebellious, a genuine friendship in an industry fueled by comparison. They called themselves Shalom. Yes, really. They weren't just clothes, they were a brand. Book one, and you'd want the other. Photographers loved their natural chemistry. Designers saw their bond as something rare. Real joy, real trust. No pretense, no quiet competition. They were rewriting what it meant to be a model. In 1996, MTV came calling. House of Style needed new energy, and Shalom delivered it in band tees and backstage laughs. They didn't read cue cards. They spoke their minds. Producers let them be themselves, because themselves was more captivating than any script. It wasn't an act. Their friendships survived decades. In an industry where relationships often dissolve with the seasons, Amber and Shalom remained twisted sisters. Decades of memories, secrets, and loyalty between them. March 1999, London. Alexander McQueen was preparing to present his spring-summer collection, titled Number 13. If you knew McQueen, you knew this wouldn't be a typical fashion show. But even by his avant-garde standards, what was about to unfold was extraordinary. He called Shalom. He didn't just want her in the show. He wanted her for the moment. The catch? She was in New York. The show was the next day. Shalom jumped on a red-eye flight, landed in London, and arrived at the venue with no rehearsal, no script, no idea what to expect. "Just trust me," McQueen said. The show began. Models walked. The audience admired the collection. Then the lights dimmed. A platform rose from the stage. Shalom stood on it, dressed in a plain white strapless dress. Pure, unassuming. And then, from either side of her, two massive, industrial robots emerged. Machines normally used to spray paint cars. As the platform turned, the arms came to life, hissing, moving, spraying. Black and yellow paint exploded across Shalom's dress, her body, her hair. But she didn't flinch. She moved gracefully, instinctively, like she was dancing with danger. She raised her arms. She spun. She engaged the robots as if in a silent battle between human and machine. It was violent. It was beautiful. It was unforgettable. When it ended, the audience sat in stunned silence, then erupted into a standing ovation. McQueen would later call it one of his proudest moments. Shalom had improvised the entire performance, sleep-deprived, jet-lagged, and unrehearsed. She turned machinery into choreography, fashion into art. No one had ever seen anything like it, and no one ever would again. In 2012, Shalom closed Alexander Wang's fall show. She walked backstage, gave her final bow, and then vanished. No announcements, no campaigns, no interviews. The woman who once defined high fashion simply disappeared. Whispers began. Was she retired, hiding, done with it all? But the truth was far more devastating. Shalom was sick, not run down, not exhausted, sick. It began quietly. Fatigue, pain, strange symptoms that didn't go away. Then it got worse. She was diagnosed with late-stage Lyme disease, and that wasn't all. Her home in Big Sur was infested with toxic black mold. Every day she lived there, it poisoned her more. Her immune system collapsed, her nervous system spiraled, her body betrayed her. Imagine your skin aching, your limbs refusing to move, your brain fogged so deeply it feels like drowning, and doctors tell you it's all in your head. Now imagine that goes on for 8 years. No headlines, no Instagram confessionals, just silence. A woman who once moved crowds with a glance was now fighting invisible demons alone. Eventually, the trauma was so deep, she was diagnosed with CPTSD, a condition often seen in survivors of war, because when your body becomes a battleground, it is a war. And all the while, fashion moved on. New girls, new names, new trends. Shalom stayed in bed, wondering if she'd ever walk again, on any runway, or even across a room. But slowly, quietly, she began to heal. September 2018, Milan Fashion Week, the Versace Spring 2019 show. Backstage was chaos, as always. Dresses being sewn, last-minute fittings, models rushing in and out. But this time, something felt different. The show began with its usual glamour. The music pulsed. The crowd leaned forward. Models stormed the catwalk. But then, just when everyone thought it was over, the lights shifted. One more figure appeared. Shalom Harlow. She stepped onto the runway in a sleek black gown. Eyes steady, walk strong. No hesitation, no fear. She moved like she never left, like the past 6 years of pain and silence had never happened. The audience froze, then erupted. Real tears, real awe, real recognition. Because this wasn't just a supermodel comeback. This was a woman who had vanished, literally fought for her life, and now stood tall in front of them. Radiant, unapologetic. Donatella Versace knew exactly what this moment meant. She had her team film Shalom dancing in her gown after the show. No choreography, no instructions, just joy. Shalom spun, laughed, moved like the girl who once chose tap over ballet. The video hit Instagram and went viral instantly. But it wasn't just because of the beauty. It was because of the meaning. Her dance wasn't performance. It was survival turned into celebration. You could feel it in her smile. She wasn't just back. She was alive. In 2023, Shalom appeared on the cover of Vogue. Not in a nostalgic throwback, not as a tribute to the 90s. This was the May issue, honoring Karl Lagerfeld, alongside the most current, in-demand models of the moment. Shalom Harlow, 50 years old, sharing the frame as an equal. Let that sink in. But here's the thing. She didn't need the validation. She wasn't chasing relevance or clinging to fame. After nearly a decade of illness, her priorities had shifted. As she put it herself, working every day in a healthy body close to my 5th decade, that's the career highlight. She now chooses her projects carefully, a fashion show here, a campaign there, not because she's stepping back, but because she finally can. For the first time, she's not working for survival, she's working for joy. And the industry noticed. Fashion students still write essays about her McQueen moment. Designers born after her debut now beg her to walk in their shows. Models half her age study her walk, her presence. Because what she carries isn't just elegance, it's experience. It's proof that beauty doesn't age, it deepens. When Shalom works now, it's not a booking, it's an event. Not because of hype, but because people want to see her. She's not a relic. She's a legend. Still here, still dancing. The video hit Instagram and went viral instantly. But it wasn't just because of the beauty. It was because of the meaning. Her dance wasn't performance. It was survival turned into celebration. You could feel it in her smile. She wasn't just back. She was alive. Through everything, spotlights, silence, sickness, one thing never left Shalom's side: Amber Valletta. From the beginning, their friendship wasn't a PR stunt. It wasn't a runway gimmick. It was real. In a world that thrives on rivalry, Shalomber was different. 30 years later, they're still laughing, still calling each other twisted sisters, still showing up for one another. In 2023, they appeared together on the cover of Vogue, not posing as distant icons, but looking at each other with the warmth only decades of friendship can create. Behind those smiles were secrets, struggles, shared memories. Amber was one of the few who truly knew what Shalom had been through: the pain, the silence, the slow return. Their bond was proof that, in fashion, not everything fades. Some connections endure longer than any trend. In a culture obsessed with youth and reinvention, Shalom and Amber stood side by side, not chasing the past, but carrying it with pride. Shalom Harlow never made it to space, but somehow she did something even more extraordinary. She survived the fashion world, not just the glamour and the fame, but the silence, the illness, the years lost in the dark. She didn't just model clothes, she made them come alive. She didn't just follow trends, she transformed them. And when her body failed her, when everything stopped, she vanished with grace and came back even stronger. Some models become famous, a few become icons, but Shalom? She became something else entirely. She became proof. Proof that beauty isn't in youth or perfection, it's in resilience. Proof that you can disappear and still return more powerful than ever. Proof that the loudest noise isn't always made by shouting. It can be a woman spinning on a stage, covered in paint, dancing with machines. Proof that friendship, joy, and survival can leave a deeper mark than any campaign or cover ever could. She once chose tap over ballet because she wanted to make noise. And now, more than ever, she still is.